Ice Center with a matchup between the Chicago Cougars and the Dells Ducks. I'm Dan alongside Joe. We're going to be talking here about the Chicago Cougars on their success from last year. They had a 39-9 record with a second place finish. Both teams are under the same ownership between the Ducks and the Cougars. They went 5-5 last year. And in the playoffs, the Ducks knocked out the Cougars in the semifinals and ended up winning the championship. Joe, what do you think about that?
Bitter taste. That's what the Cougars have right now. Bitter taste. As you just mentioned, the Ducks knocked them out of the playoffs. So that's something that you should be looking for. It's going to be a very high intensity game. I mean, you said it right there, 5-5 last season. So these are two teams that know each other, two teams that are owned by the same owner. So it's going to be intensity. It's like one team from one side of the pond, one team from another side of the pond are meeting, so it's going to be a great matchup.
Absolutely. Now, 70% of the Cougars roster is from Chicago or suburbs of Chicago. I think that's a real interesting point there.
The fact that it's homegrown talent, like you just mentioned right there, 70% of the team is from the state of Illinois, all across Illinois, homegrown talent. Then you got about 30%. You even got a guy from Belgium. He's not playing today, but that's another story right. For a different day. Don't ask the coach about that one. He'll get a little upset. But regardless, yeah, it's great that they have a lot of homegrown talent and that it's working.
Absolutely. And now an interesting point, Joe, is the Cougars already have 7 injuries to start the season. Now that is pretty absurd in my opinion. I just haven't seen that. You see a couple, but touch on that.
I've never seen 7 injuries to start a season. This is really unheard of. I mean, I could see if it was like halfway through the year, but that's something that they're going to have to deal with in this game, is that you don't have 7 of your guys. And what that's also going to create is different chemistry, line matchups. That's going to be a learning process and a feeling out process throughout this game, and probably until they get some of these guys back.
Absolutely. And now the Cougars brought up a couple players because of the injuries, number 7 and number 16. Being number 7 is TJ Dugan, and 16 is Zignarsik. Coach Brad is looking for them to step up and make an impact right away in the lineup.
Yeah, and a couple of those guys are also starting on that top line as well. So this is something that you got to be aware of. And with them bringing up a lot of these younger guys, as I go back to it, I hate to repeat myself, but chemistry and line matchups. These are guys who have not skated. They've maybe had 1 or 2 practices together, so it's hard to tell what guys are going to be good, what guys are going to mesh well together, what guys aren't. So that's just something that you're going to have to look out for.
Absolutely. And we'll take it to our 3 keys of the game. We talked to Brad before the game. The first key is, like we touched on earlier, is the 7 injuries to start the season. Who's going to step up and take that leadership role early in the season? Coach Brad was looking at some rookies in the lineup. I'm pretty sure it's going to be their first junior game. Number 9, Zeb Scheffler, and number 22, Zach Bishop. Both born in 1999, 17 years old, so hopefully they can make an impact right away.
I would imagine they would have to make an impact as you said, they probably got the jitters right now. They're a little nervous in the locker room. Yeah. I can only imagine, but it's going to be good. They're going to be fine, and I think you're going to probably see a lot of intensity out of them in their first shift. But after that, you got to go back to it. It's just playing hockey.
Yes, after that first shift, they'll be a little nervous. Then once they get into the flow of the game, nature will take over.
Yeah, exactly.
And then going to our second key of the game is that we touched on earlier was the team chemistry. Just how do they play together to start the game, and hopefully they get better as the game goes on. Yeah,
team chemistry is going to be key. Those first couple shifts, we're going to see how certain guys work well together. As you said, we're probably going to see a lot of miskeys because these are guys who have not skated together. They have 1, maybe two practices under their belt as skating together all together. So there are going to probably be some miscues, but it's not about the miscues. It's how they rebound from those miscues. So yeah, team chemistry and lineups and just meshing well as a team are 2 things that you definitely are going to be talking about.
Yes, right on. And then our last key, the third key, is what type of game plan. Stick to the game plan. Coach Brad mentioned he wants to play more of a finesse game over a physical game. Get on that forecheck early. And move the puck to the neutral zone and forecheck pretty aggressively.
Yeah, the one thing he definitely said was he wants to be more of a speedy team than a team that floor checks. Now, with those 7 injuries, is that going to change your game plan? We're just going to have to wait and see. But if it does, you're probably going to see them being more physical, and that's not what they want to do. They want to be a speedy team, and they want to be the skilled team and possess the puck. And now, if they're being more physical and hitting people, that means they are not doing what they want to do as a game plan, from a game plan standpoint.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to have to wait and see.
Sounds good, Joe. So, with the still being Zamboni'd here, there's been a pretty big crowd here tonight for the home opener for the Cougars. We just had a new recent signed player this week. Number 2, Jancic will be in the lineup this week. He only has practiced maybe I think 1 or 2 practices so far.
Yeah, so
a defenseman, I believe.
That's going to be something key to watch is how he does, especially they just signed him too.
Mm-hmm. So he's probably obviously still doesn't know all of his teammates' names yet. I would imagine. Maybe he does.
Maybe he said, "Hi, my name is this." But let's be honest, that you're going to learn your team names. He's probably going to learn a lot more about his teammates tonight.
Yes, absolutely. There and let's see here.
And we got about a little over 10 minutes before the national anthem, before we get this game underway.
Okay, so we're here live at the Leafs Ice Center, about 10 minutes before game time here. We'll be back after these messages.